Talia.
I followed Luciano out of the room and into his office. He heavily sat down on his chair and let out a tired sigh. His eyes and stance show how the conversation affected his mentality. For a second, I felt quite bad for him, and I also feel like the reason why the negotiation fell through is because of me. "Are you all right?" I warily asked, sitting in front of him. He opened his eyes and nodded his head. "Of course. Why wouldn't I be all right?" I pursed my lips together and didn't say anything anymore. Even if he says he's all right, I could tell that he wasn't. I let out a deep breath and came up with a bizarre idea. I cleared my throat. "Maybe we should just listen to your father's suggestion." He was tapping his pen against the table, and he instantly stopped when he heard my suggestion. "Huh?" he asked, his face scrunched up in a frown. I sighed and leaned back on my seat. "Maybe we should just listen to Don Emiliano," I repeated. "We could go back to Sir Charles and give him what he wants." "And what? You're going to give your body to him?" he scoffed. My eyes widened in surprise. "It doesn't have to be like that, does it? Maybe he just wants me to be his guard or something." He chuckled in disbelief. "Are you pretending to be innocent or what? The two of us know damn well that he doesn't want you for your guarding skills." I bit my lips. There is a very high possibility that Sir Charles merely wants me for my body, but I want to forget that for a second. It doesn't matter. It's much better for me to go than for you to suffer because of this. He leaned closer to me. "Do you really think I'm suffering right now?" "Not just you," I exclaimed. "Don Emiliano is right. If we don't give Sir Charles what he wants right away, then he's going to cause more ruckus. That means that more people in the Cosa Nostra will be inconvenienced by the situation." "And what? Your sacrifice will make things easier for us?" "It will," I said with resolution. "It'll be better for me to suffer all alone than to bring in other people into this. I also know how important this negotiation is for the clan." "How about you?" he suddenly asked. I hummed, confused about his question. "What do you think about the situation? Would it be okay for you to go on your own?" I was speechless by his question. "It's going to be better for me to go than to have other people." "Answer my damn question," he said through gritted teeth. "Just a simple yes or no. Do you want to go with Sir Charles?" I raked my fingers through my hair and sighed. No, I repeated with more disgust. "However, I don't have a choice. I know that going with him will be the best choice for the Cosa Nostra." "Who said that you don't have a choice? If you don't want to go, then you don't have to." "Then, what are we going to do?" I exasperatedly asked. "Start a clan war with them? It's going to be messy and innocent civilians might be affected." "That's not our only option, Bambi." I looked up at him with hopeful eyes. His sullen face just a while ago now morphed into a murderous one. "Do you have anything else in mind?" I asked. He winked at me. "I always have another plan in mind. If Sir Charles wants to play dirty, then I'm going to give him a filthy fight."
Sometime later.
When Luciano told me he was going to fight filthily, I thought he was going to resort to violence. However, he did the complete opposite. He dug up Sir Charles' dirt, something that he won't be able to recover from, and decided to use it against him. It took about a week with just the two of us in his office, rummaging through the crimes that Sir Charles had hidden. It turns out, he has impregnated the wife of another famous Mafia boss, Don Giovanni. That Mafia boss is infamous for torturing people who oppose his ways, and it just so happens that he seems to be very much in love with his wife. If he finds out that Sir Charles had sex with his wife, he's not going to hold back. Moreover, if Luciano joins hands with Giovanni, the two of them would be unstoppable, and Sir Charles wouldn't be able to retaliate any further. "Is it done?" I asked, stretching my back on my seat. He nodded his head. "The evidences have been sent to Sir Charles. It's only a matter of time before he contacts me," he smirks. Just then, his phone went off, the eerie ringtone resonating in his office. And the call came earlier than I expected. He answered the call and placed the phone on speaker mode. I went closer to him and listened to the phone call altogether. "It's yours! It's yours!" he shouted as soon as Luciano answered. "Good evening, Sir Charles." "Not even a greeting?" he chuckled. "I don't have any time for greetings. It's yours. I'm giving you the title of your land. Just don't tell Don Giovanni about what you've discovered." "Ah," Luciano said in a sympathetic voice. "You're not even going to get the compensation that you wanted?" "There's no need for that. I'm already packing my bags along with my men." "How did you even find out about that secret?" "Let's just say that you always leave traces, Sir Charles. You should be more careful," he said in a calm voice. "Whatever. We have a deal, all right? Keep this to yourself and I'll give you my land. It would be a fair deal." "Who am I to deny such a deal? Just hand over the title to one of my men. They're in your territory right now." Sir Charles growled. "You fucking bastard. You planned this all along, didn't you?" Luciano and I made eye contact with each other, and I couldn't help but smile. We really did struggle getting to where we are right now. I even considered just going to Sir Charles's territory to present myself to him. However, Luciano was able to dig up some dirt about him just as I was about to do so. "Cheers, Sir Charles. Thank you for your cooperation," he said. "You better keep your promise, bastard." "I promise," Luciano said, dropping the phone call. He then looked at the new message on his phone and nodded his head. "The title of the land is already with us." "Then, is it over?" I excitedly asked. "One moment," he said, contacting another person on his phone. I watched him with curious eyes, wondering who he could be contacting at this point. "Did you receive it?" he asked. "Yes," I heard a gruff said over the phone. Good. Good. Are you planning on taking action?" The two of them continued talking while I remained in the dark. Luciano had already turned the speaker mode off, so I couldn't quite hear what the other party was saying. "I'll look forward to it. He's probably heading south now." He hummed. "Thanks. Looking forward to seeing you soon, Don Giovanni." My eyes widened in surprise as Luciano ended the call. "What?" he asked, amusement evident in his eyes. "That was Don Giovanni?" He nonchalantly nodded his head. "You told him? I thought you promised Sir Charles not to tell him about it." He smirked. "You really don't know much about this world, Bambi. Not everyone keeps their promises. Always remember, promises are always meant to be broken. Besides, don't you think that he deserves it?" I don't know what came over me at that point, but I went closer to him and wrapped my arms around his waist. I felt his body become rigid against mine, and I couldn't help but chuckle. I looked up to him, still hugging his waist, and flashed him a wide smile. "We did it."
Leah.
I moaned into his mouth as our tongues touched each other. Our kiss escalated quickly as he pushed my back onto the wall. "Jump," he said. I quickly followed his instructions. I jumped into his arms, and he carried me to his table, placing me down as we continued kissing. I honestly don't know how we even got here. I only planned on hugging him out of joy, but then we suddenly started kissing. How did we even get here anyway? Let's rewind back a couple of minutes. I hugged him out of gratefulness. I thought I was going to sacrifice myself and go to Sir Charles's territory to resolve this situation, but Luciano stayed with me throughout the week, untiringly looking for evidence to bring him down. "We did it," I said. He was surprised for a second, but he eventually returned the hug. I felt so warm in his arms, so I snuggled deeper into his chest, breathing in his scent. He let out a chuckle. "Did you just sniff me?" I glared at him and playfully pinched his bicep. "Shut up. You're ruining the moment." He chuckled once more. "You know that I'm your boss, right?" I rolled my eyes. "Just let us enjoy this moment, all right? I'll go back to being your guard later." He smiled, and I could see how beautiful he is from up close. Usually, only a smirk or a scowl would be his expression. I've rarely ever seen him smile like this, and it is quite breathtaking. It's like time had stopped as the two of us gazed into each other's eyes. Our smiles have also slowly fallen off our faces, our chests moving in sync as we breathed together. I could feel how hard my heart was beating, and I wondered if he could feel it too. Our faces started inching closer together, and before I knew it, the familiar sparks went through my body, the feeling that I could only get when I'm with Luciano. And that's how we got here. He loosened his tie since the atmosphere has gotten even steamier. Things started escalating even more, and he's now trying to remove my blouse. However, as he held onto the hem of my blouse, the door opened and his sister walked in. "Hey, loser." Dad called for.
Whoa!
She exclaimed in a loud voice, making the two of us break away. I looked at her with wide eyes as she pointed at the two of us. Luciano sighed and held onto his forehead. "Can't you knock?" He gritted through his teeth. "You know that I never knock," Renee said. "You should have locked the door." I got down from the table and fixed my clothes. I focused my gaze on the ground and didn't dare look at Renee since I was too embarrassed. "Should I come back later?" she asked, gesturing towards the door. Luciano clicked his tongue. "You're already here. What is it?" "Dad's looking for you. I think he's waiting for the update about the land." He sighed.
Can't he wait for a little bit?
"I just secured the land." Renee went beside him and nudged his shoulder. "You actually managed to do it, hmm? I would have thought that you would have taken the easy route, for sure." "I wonder what triggered your change of heart," she teasingly said. I also felt her gaze on me for a while. "Whatever," he breathed out. "I'm going to father. I'll be back in a while." With that, he started walking out of the room. I reached out my hand and was about to ask him to take me with him, however, he was already out of the door. Renee and I were left all alone in the office, and I felt awkward as hell. Getting caught kissing Luciano by his sister is probably the most embarrassing moment I've ever encountered in my whole life. I turned my gaze to the side when I felt her stare on me. I was hoping that she wouldn't speak about what just happened, but that was nearly impossible. "So," she started off, "are you and my brother together?" I snapped my head towards her. "No," I quickly denied. She frowned as she sat down on his seat. "No? Then what was that just now?" I blushed and bit my lip. That was just an in-the-moment situation. "Trust me. We're not together like that." "Bummer," she pouted. "I would have wanted the two of you to actually be together. My brother had been much more humane since you were around." I frowned. I wonder what she means. "You haven't noticed yet?" she chuckled. "Oh, this is going to be good," she muttered under her breath. "Let us just say that my brother has a soft spot for a certain someone right now," she smiled. "I'll leave it up to you to think about it." "Sure," I said, although I was still confused about what she was insinuating. "But, really," she said, "you should give my brother a chance." I choked on air. "I don't think Don Luciano sees me that way." "Sure," she sarcastically said. "He's quite unpredictable, isn't he? But he's quite sweet, if you ask me. I still remember when we were kids, he'll always cry when he sees a cockroach or any kind of insect at that. He only acts tough on the outside, but deep inside, I still feel like he's a little kid. He was just forced to grow up too fast because he needed to overtake the Cosa Nostra at the ripe age of 18, she said sadly. I kind of wish that we could have lived a normal life, but I don't think that's possible in our family. It's always been about the Mafia and never about us." She trailed off. I looked at her empathetically. I never thought about it that way. I always thought that the Mafia had a luxurious life and that they don't have the problems of a regular citizen. But listening to Renee opened my eyes. They're also struggling, but there's nothing they could do about it. Renee chuckled, breaking the tension. "I must have made the atmosphere quite depressing, huh?" "Oh, no," I denied. "It's all right. It's quite refreshing hearing your problems. Thanks for listening, she said, standing up from her seat and walking closer to me. I think we could actually be good friends. She offered her hand. I smiled. From the start, I already had a good impression of her. Also, Daisy always brags about how kind Renee is to her, so I know that I could trust her. I took her hand and shook it lightly. Me too. I'm looking forward to being friends with you. Can you believe this? We're going on a mission together, Daisy giddily said as she sat next to me in the car. Why are you so excited for this? We're visiting the enemy's territory to free the underage sex workers that they've been exploiting for years, I deadpanned. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds quite depressing, but still. At least we're doing it together, she said. You better be thanking me. Renee butted in, going inside the car too. I smiled at her as she entered. Hey, what's up? I greeted. She smiled back and nodded her head. Doing pretty good. I'm quite excited for this mission actually. Daisy crossed her arms beside me and looked at me with one eyebrow raised. So, you found a new best friend, huh? I chuckled and shook my head. Oh, shut up. We're not in 6th grade anymore. All of us are good friends here. You're right, Daisy wrapped her arms on Renee's and I's shoulders. Just a couple of besties going to a sex den. I rolled my eyes and pushed her away. I'm surprised that you initiated this mission, I said to Renee.
I thought you didn't want to engage in any of the affairs of the Mafia.
I still don't, she said, making me frown. But when I heard that the Colombo clan had a sex den comprised of minors, I decided to intervene. Luciano brought up the topic to my father, but he refused in taking action. He said that it wouldn't bring us any benefits if we do so, but I took matter into my own hands and convinced him that we should help those minors. As the youngest daughter, he really couldn't resist my charms. Daisy chuckled. I guess being the favorite daughter comes in handy at times too. I personally wouldn't be able to live it down knowing I didn't do anything about that problem. Exactly, Renee said. So, I came out of my comfort zone just to conduct this mission. It's a good thing that Luciano agreed with me too. Just then, the door opened and Luciano peeked in. Seats are already full, Renee teased, sprawling her limbs all over the vacant seats. He sighed. There's clearly more space over there.
Scoot over and let me sit.
Renee shook her head. This is a girls-only territory. Go sit at the front. You're not letting me win, aren't you? Nope, Renee said, popping her pea. He clicked his tongue and closed the door, obediently sitting on the front seat. I chuckled as I watched him grumble in his seat. I sense that he has a weakness when it comes to his sisters, especially Renee. Cute, I muttered under my breath. Renee nudged my side and smirked. I heard that. I looked away from her to hide my blushing cheeks.
Sometime later.
We're here, Luciano said, going out of the car to open the door for us. We quietly went out of the car and looked at the beat-up house in front of us. Are we the only ones here? Daisy asked, looking around the area. Don Luciano shook his head. Other members are waiting in unseen areas. We don't want the Colombo clan to be alarmed by our presence. We were only able to bribe the guards at the front gate, but I'm sure the other guards will be able to find us later. That's right, I said. So, we have to act quick. Luciano nodded his head. The rescue car for the sex workers is near that tree right there, he pointed. Daisy and Renee, you guys are responsible for transporting these workers to the car. Talia and I would be the ones infiltrating the house to look at the situation.
What?
Renee exclaimed. Let us come with you. Let's just call some other guards to do what Daisy and I are supposed to do. Luciano shook his head. It's way too dangerous. Stay near the back exit and wait there for us. Don't come inside the house at all cost, okay? Renee opened her mouth to argue once more, but Luciano gave her a sharp look, making her nod her head. Fine, she grumbled. You guys better stay safe. Of course, Luciano smirked. Let's get to our posts. The four of us separated into two groups, with Luciano and I entering the house. There were some guards near the entrance, but Luciano and I quickly subdued them with chloroform. As we stepped in, the house looked just like a normal house. However, the two of us knew better. Under the normal interior, there's a basement that contained the underage sex workers they've kidnapped from different parts of the country, especially those in rural areas. We didn't waste any time and went straight to the basement. As we walked down the stairs, we were able to encounter a group of Mafia clan members making their way upstairs. It seems like they've just finished a session with the sex workers downstairs. There were more than 5 of them, so I reckoned that it'd be better if we don't start a commotion. I pulled Luciano to a narrow crevice, hiding ourselves away from the group of men. We were squeezed in a tight spot, our bodies touching each other. I looked up at him and saw him looking down at me with a smirk. "What?" I snapped. I was surprised when he suddenly placed a kiss on my lips, licking them in the process. "What was that for?" I yelled. He leaned closer to me and whispered in my ears. "Sorry. I couldn't help myself. You're way too near right now." I clicked my tongue and pushed him out of the crevice. It was a good thing that the group of men had already left, otherwise, we would have been found out. "Focus on the mission," I said. He smirked. All right. The two of us entered the basement, and I bit my lip to hide the gasp from escaping my lips. I also heard Luciano curse under his breath. The scent of cum and filth entered my nostrils just with opening the door. More than 10 young men and women were stuck in one room, separated from the world with rusted metal bars. They flinched the moment they saw us, scrambling to get away from the likes of us. I turned towards Luciano with a look of concern, and he nodded his head. "They might be afraid of me," he said. "Can you talk to them for me?" Although I was quite afraid of their reactions, I nodded my head and walked slowly towards them. "Hello, there," I said in a soft voice, kneeling down to their level. I was young, but heck, the people inside this den were much younger than me. We had to get them out of here fast. They didn't respond, but I could tell that they weren't that scared of me. I don't have time for introductions right now, but what I can tell you is that I gestured towards Luciano and I, are going to help you get out of here. Their ears perked up and their eyes widened in surprise as soon as they realized that we could be their escape. "Do you trust us?" It appears like they were still hesitant, but when the oldest looking out of all of them stood up from her seat and looked me in the eyes, I was hopeful that they were going to take the chance.
"Nobody has ever promised us to escape before,"
she said in a croaky voice. "And I'm at the point where I feel like anything is better than this hellhole. Please help us escape," she said. I nodded my head, gesturing Luciano to come over. He skillfully opened the lock, and it was now our time to escape. We lead them out one by one, quietly moving out of the den and into the back exit. Luciano was at the front while I was at the back. A very short boy was in the back, and I couldn't help but strike a conversation. "Hey, what's your name?" I softly asked. "Levi," he said. "And how old are you, Levi?" I smiled. 13. My jaw clenched in anger.
"I can't believe that they have 13-year-olds at this place."
The Colombo family is one sick family. If they weren't as powerful as they are, I would have asked Luciano to kill each and every one of them. However, I knew that they were also a strong force to beckon, therefore, it's best if we focus on our objective right now. I smiled in relief when I could already see the light. We were almost out of the door. And I could see Renee smiling at me, holding out her hand so we could exit faster. Things were going so well. Too well, perhaps. Because the next thing I knew,
I was being dragged back by my hair.
The welcoming look on Renee's face was replaced with a look of horror. I quickly pushed Levi out of the exit, and Daisy quickly caught him. I couldn't even comprehend anything since events went by so fast. I felt a knife against my throat, but I've practiced a maneuver to get me out of this hold during the training system, so I successfully escaped. I ran for the exit, smiling in relief when I saw Luciano's concerned face waiting for me.
"I'm here,"
I said, facing them. I thought they would have been happy to see me, but their expressions still reflected of that of horror. They weren't looking at me. They were looking at something, perhaps someone behind me. And with that, I already knew that something was wrong. I tried turning around, but I didn't get the chance to. Instead, I felt a slight push followed by the deafening sound of the gun. Bang! Blood. Blood splattered everywhere.